All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into something that happens way before the first concrete truck ever rolls out. The absolutely critical rules for storing your materials. You know, it's not the glamorous part of the job, but one tiny mistake here can tank a project before it even gets started. So let's get right into it.
So, picture this. You've got the perfect mix design, the best gear, a top-notch crew. Everything is lined up. So what's the one silent killer that can totally sabotage your concrete before a single drop of water even touches the cement?
That's it. 2 words: improper storage. It is the root cause of so many problems, from weak foundations all the way to failed quality tests. It really turns out that how you store your materials is every bit as critical as how you mix them.
And that kind of brings us to our first big idea here. Quality concrete isn't just born in the mixer. Its foundation is laid in the yard. A truly great pour starts with how you manage those raw materials from the second they show up on site.
So, whose job is this anyway? Well, the short answer is pretty much everyone. Management and production, they're overseeing the whole operation. Your QC staff, they're your frontline defense, doing the inspections. But here's the part people sometimes miss. This standard doesn't stop at your gate. Your outside suppliers have to meet the exact same strict standards. It has to be a complete chain of quality.
Okay, next up, aggregates. We're talking about the sand and stone that make up the backbone of your concrete. And to protect them, you basically need a battle plan against 3 main enemies that are always, and I mean always, trying to wreck your stockpiles.
Enemy number 1 is contamination. Think about it: dirt, clay, grass, whatever. If your loader operator accidentally scoops up just a thin layer of mud from the base of that pile, you've just injected a foreign material that's going to weaken the concrete and throw your whole mix design completely off balance.
And then you've got enemy number 2, segregation. You know how when you have a jar of mixed nuts and you shake it, all the big Brazil nuts rise to the top? Well, the exact same thing happens with aggregates. If you handle them too much, the coarse and fine particles separate, and that leads to inconsistent, totally unpredictable concrete from one batch to the next. And the third enemy, and this one is a big one, is moisture variability. Look, if one part of your stockpile is soaked from last night's rain and another part is bone dry, you have zero control over the mix. This completely destroys the water-to-cement ratio, which, as you know, is the single most important factor for concrete strength, period. So how do you fight back against these 3 enemies? Well, here's your defense plan. First, your stockpiles have to be on a clean, hard surface that drains well. No excuses. Keep different aggregates far apart, or better yet, use barrier walls. Handle them as little as possible. And if a pile gets wet, let it drain until the moisture content is uniform. It's all about being proactive, not reactive.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about the glue that holds this whole thing together: cement. When it comes to cement, there is one primary rule that trumps everything else, and it's incredibly simple: keep it dry. Yeah, a great way to think about it is that cement is just thirsty. It's what they call hygroscopic, which is just a fancy way of saying it actively sucks moisture right out of the air around it. The second it gets a taste of water, even just humidity, it starts to harden, and its binding power is gone forever. Your job is to be the gatekeeper and keep it away from water.
Now, for bagged cement, that means you have to follow some really strict stacking rules. If you're going to use it within 60 days, okay, you can go up to 14 bags high. But for any longer-term storage, you have to chop that in half, just 7 bags high. And why? It's all about the weight. Too much pressure compacts the cement in those bottom bags, causing something called warehouse pack. Basically, it hardens right there in the bag, making it useless.
And you've got to treat your cement inventory just like milk in the fridge. Use the FIFO method, first in, first out. Always use the oldest delivery first. It's such a simple rule, but it's what stops you from ending up with a pallet of expired, useless material.
For bulk cement and silos, the rules are just as tough. Those silos have to be 100% watertight. You also need to make sure you're pulling cement from each silo at least once a month to keep it from caking up inside. And of course, for goodness sake, make sure everything is clearly labeled so a driver doesn't accidentally pump the wrong stuff into the wrong silo. What a nightmare that would be.
Okay, Now for the special ingredients, admixtures and pigments. I mean, this is the high-tech stuff that can completely change concrete's properties, make it stronger, last longer, or even change its color. But with that kind of power comes a serious need for precision.
I want you to just look at this number for a second. 90. Just 90. What on earth could be so important about the number 90 when we're talking about concrete quality?
Well, here it is. Every 90 days, your quality control team has to verify the accuracy of your liquid admixture batching systems. These things are potent chemicals, right? Even a tiny error in the dosage can have a massive, and I mean massive, effect on the final product. So this isn't a guideline or a suggestion. It's a non-negotiable check for consistency.
So, let's pull all this together. Think of this last part as your final guardrail. A quick, simple checklist that basically summarizes the most critical tasks for making sure your materials are protected and ready to go.
This table really boils it all down to who owns what. Your QC staff, they own the purity of the aggregate stockpiles. Production personnel, they're on the hook for making sure those silos are watertight. QC is back on deck for that 90-day admixture check. And production is handling the stacking and FIFO for bagged cement. See, it's a simple breakdown, but it ensures nothing falls through the cracks.
And that really brings us to the end. The main takeaway here is that the strength and success of your concrete project is decided long before a single yard gets mixed. The foundation of your entire project is being built right now, in your storage yard. So the only question left to ask is yours being built on solid ground?